Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be dipping into BH Cosmetics BFF palette, and I'm actually going to be doing 4 different looks. I used every single shade in this palette one time to complete all 4 of these looks. So I hope you guys enjoy, and let's hop right into it. So the first color that I went in with was OOTD, Outfit of the Day. For the first look, this was a winged out cut crease, and I'm basically just packing this shade on and forming a winged out shape. And I'm not being too perfect with it because I am gonna go ahead and clean it up at the end. But I basically really packed on the brown and just blended it out slightly. But now I'm going in with the shade Latte and really diffusing this dark brown out. Like I said, I'm packing it on and then I am slowly fading it out because I do go in with one more shade just to really make sure that this is all the way blended out to my liking. So then I dipped into Bon Appetit to, like I said, really diffuse out the shade Latte even more to help blend out the shade OOTD. Once I am happy with that blend, I went ahead and grabbed a few Q-tips and I dipped it into micellar water and just cut out my crease. You can totally use little crease tapes that I know they have, but I like to do it this way. So after I applied my P. Louise base, I went ahead and set that base with the shade Bon Appetit. I am going to go in with a shimmer shade next, so this is totally not necessary, but I thought it was appropriate for this time. And now I'm going in with this really holographic green shift shade called Messy. And at first I didn't wet it and it was pretty pigmented, but it didn't have that shift that I was really looking for. So I did go ahead and spray it with some MAC Fix Plus, and it definitely was a lot more holographic. So I definitely recommend spraying these. For this particular look, I did end up doing a wing liner. For the rest of the looks, I just kind of used the eyeliner to hide my lash band. But now I'm going in with the NYX eyeliner. This is just a black shade in my waterline. And now for the lower lash line, I'm going back in with OOTD, and I'm running that pretty much through my whole entire bottom lash line. And now to help blend that out, I dip into the shade called Latte, which was the second shade that we used to blend out OOTD. And then I'm going in with Bon Appetit, which is that really light bone color, to really further blend it out. And now for my inner corner and my brow bone, I actually went in with the shade called Bless. This was super blinding. It really brought the whole look together and I was here for it. I really was. So that was it for the first look, and this is the first look all completed. Jumping right into the second look, which was that blue halo eye, I'm dipping into the color called Salvadorina. And this blue was really nice. Once again, I am just packing it on and then slightly blending out the edges. I do this with all of my colorful looks. Even if it's just a neutral look, I pretty much do the same thing. I literally just pack on as much pigment as I can, get out of it, and then I use lighter colors to diffuse it out. So I'm going in with that lighter baby blue color called Malibu, and I'm using that to really blend this out because I didn't use another shade on top like that bone color because I only wanted to use every shade one time. So I really went heavy in with Malibu and diffused this first blue shade out as best as I could. And now I'm going in with the first shimmer shade, which is called Bougie. and I'm placing this all in my middle lid. And on the outer edges of that, to really make this a halo eye, I went in with the shade called Wine and Dine, and I used it on my inner corner of my eyelid and my outer corner. And I made sure to go back and forth between Wine and Dine and Bougie to really make sure that they were blended into each other as best as I could. And then of course I went back in with the first shade and the second shade to really make sure that everything was blended to the best it could be. And now to really make the halo eye pop, I went in with a lighter blue shimmer called You're Sick, and I focused this on the very center of where I placed the shade Bougie. And now I just went in with a blue liner from NYX in my waterline. This is totally optional, but it's just my personal preference. So now I'm going back in with Salvadorina, and I'm using that on my lower lash line. And I'm basically placing it in the same areas that I placed it on my eyelid. So I repeated, I used it on my whole entire lash line, and then I went in with Wine and Dine in the inner corner and the outer corner. Excuse the faces that I made when I do my lower lash line, it's really bad. And then I use Malibu to diffuse all of these shades. And then that's when I went into the very center with Bougie, and then I even took the smallest amount of You're Sick and I placed it in the middle of Bougie on my lower lash line, which I normally don't bring the shimmers to my lower lash line, but for this particular look I really wanted to make it pop, so I really liked how it looked. And then I also brought You're Sick into my inner corner as well. It was really cute. So this is the final look for the second look. I hope that you guys like this look as much as I do. Of course I did clean up the edges, as you can see. Here's the completed look. So jumping right into the third look, I first dipped into the shade called 24. This look is more of a neutral look with a pop of color. So I am placing this nude-ish shade, it's kind of orangey, all in my crease. I did end up bringing it a little bit closer to my brow bone because I only went in with one more shade afterwards. But I promise I'm not aggressively poking my eye, it's just like the sped up version looks like that. And now I'm going in with the shade Peach to diffuse this out. Like I said, I did end up bringing it a little bit closer to my brow bone because I realized that Peach was gonna really lighten it out and I really wanted to showcase 24. So now I'm going in with Aloe and Elsie. And this brown I wasn't a fan of that much. I don't know, there was something about it that was kind of patchy, but honestly I think it was the brush that I was using. But it ended up working out in the end, and I kind of placed this in a V shape because that's what I like to do for my eye shape. And then I randomly out of nowhere went in with a brown liner from LA Girl on my waterline. And now for the shimmer shade, I'm going in with Gleam. And once again, I did spray this when I applied this. You definitely don't have to. They are pretty pigmented without spraying it, but I just decided to do that. And then I went in with the One Size Beauty liner. I did switch up the liners throughout this video. I believe the first one I used was from Morphe. So for the pop of color for my lower lash line, I'm going in with the shade Virgo, which was this really nice shimmer blue. I really like this combination. At first I wasn't sure how I was going to incorporate this, but I ended up really liking it with this neutral look. And then I also went back in with a little bit of Peach, and I went back in with Aloe and Elsie just to really blend everything together. And there we have it. This is the completed third look. So jumping right into the fourth and final look, I'm dipping into the shade BFF. And this one is another winged out cut crease like the first look, but this one is slightly different, being that instead of using one shade all across, I kind of split it in half between the two shades that I used initially. So after going in with BFF on half of my lid, I went in with Mexicana on the other half of the winged out cut crease, and I just blended them into each other. So after that, I went ahead and cleaned up the winged out cut crease, and then I dipped into the shade Scorpio, and I basically used this on my outer corner, but I did blend it up into the shade Mexicana to really make sure that all the colors were diffused. These three colors were pretty similar. Obviously they were all like darker or lighter than each other, but I really enjoyed using these colors in one look because they all went really well together. And then of course I went back and forth between BFF and Mexicana just to make sure that everything was blended really nice. And for the lower lash line, of course, I went in with BFF and Mexicana corresponding to how it was on my upper eyelid, and the same thing with Scorpio. Now for my shimmer shade, once again I did spray this. I went in with the color called Pop Off, and I placed this basically on the inner half, basically right where Scorpio started. And then obviously I went back in with Scorpio and really blended it out, going back and forth between Pop Off and Scorpio just to make sure that it was nice and blended. And then I did end up going back in with a little bit of BFF on top of Pop Off because I did lose it a little bit when I placed that shimmer shade. And now finally going in with the last shade that we haven't used yet in the palette called Baby E, and this was my favorite part because it really brightened up my inner corner and my brow bone. And once again I did spray the shade and it was super blinding. I really like how it looked. So for liner I went in with the Patrick Star One Size Beauty again, and here is the final and fourth look. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video as much as I did. I really enjoyed testing out this palette because like I said, I used every single shade. So overall I really did love this palette. With that being said, don't forget to comment down below, give this video a big thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe if you're not already, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!